sun, you guys. I don't never get a chance to hit it that often, you guys, man. So bear with me. But we got a special video. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the intro right now. Going on YouTube, I am back with another video, and as you can see, I am in Toro. It's gonna be a crazy weekend. Got a lot of car meets set up, got a lot of just car stuff in general set up. So gonna be pushing a lot of content this week, so just kind of stay tuned. But I wanted to do a different video and more of a interesting kind of what I've learned so far in the car world, and of course having a Challenger for a while now, right? So pretty much I went from a 5.7 345 that had everything from shorty headers down to a aftermarket drive shaft from the drive shaft shop. Shout out to them. I'll be putting one of those in this shortly. It's just way better on the car as far as launching and handling horsepower and things like that. But if you haven't checked them out, make sure you check them out on Instagram. Their website again at thedriveshaftshop.com. Now, I wanted to discuss a few things that are kind of, not necessarily a myth, but, if you don't understand how they work or what they do in unison with other parts, you're pretty much out here wasting your money unless you like it for show, etc. So pretty much what I'm going to talk about are the 5 mods that do not work on your Scatpack, all right? And what I mean by do not work is they're not going to give you horsepower alone by themselves, all right? There's a lot of things that you can get in unison, all right, that creates a little bit of horsepower. But you need to make sure all those parts are working together, and to do so for most of the computer stuff that is in a Challenger, Chargers, etc., you have to get it tuned to let pretty much let it know that it's here. So other than that, let's get into these top 5 mods that don't work for your Scatpack. All right, you guys, so like I said, number 1, it is the most famous mod or full bolt-on mod that everybody goes for first on these cars, all right? And that is their cold air intake, all right? You need to understand something, all right? With these cold air intakes, you get 1 horsepower for every 10 degrees that your car drops, all right? But the ultimate goal is to be 1 to 2 degrees under ambient. If you don't know what ambient means, go ahead and Google that. But it's technically the degree under the surrounding air that's around it, all right? So what I mean by that, if it's 80 degrees outside, you want to be underneath 80 degrees. So there are some cold air intakes that, yes, I believe work, all right? But the way the cold air intake works, of course, all right, if you have an open box, you're just going to be pulling in hot air. So it's really not going to do anything but maybe suck a little bit more air through the actual intake tube, etc., all right, through your throttle body, etc. Adding horsepower, 1 to 2 at the most, nothing noticeable, maybe a little bit difference in sound, all right? So the first thing, you guys, all right, this right here, all right, what I found to work the best so far, all right, is literally getting a Hellcat lower air box with the tube, etc., and then changing out the actual filter itself. So I'm going to get into that here in a second. So what you can see, all right, you do have a closed intake box, all right? So that is one of the best things that you can have, even when you get into like the AFEs, the Corsa performance boxes and things like that. You want to definitely make sure it's closed. That's going to help the temperature of the air that it's, bringing in stay a little bit cooler, okay? Now, what I was talking about with the Hellcat lower air box, all right, you're talking about down there where you can see the little foam pad, all right? And then what you can see are little tubes, all right? And you can see mine is not functional because I do not have the lower air box yet, all right? But if you go onto a lot of the forums and the 1320 forums that I'm a part of, they literally switch out the lower part they put in a better filter. All right, the better filter can come from K&N. I believe Corsa has one, and it is literally nothing but the flatter filter, which filters the air and actually helps bring it through. All right, now you're gonna have a functional piece here, a functional piece from the bottom, and then some of the TA ones actually open and close to allow your Hellcat hoods to be functional as well, along with these right here. Because if you don't know what those are for, they actually are for the TA intake, where it sits here and it connects, runs down, and into your air box. All right, now that is the first thing you guys need to understand with that, is the air intake is not going to give you any power. Right, you're not going to full bolt on air intake and gain the 22 horsepower that they say they do. Now mind you, all right, this is literally talking by themselves. All right, a cold air intake, all right, with a ported throttle body, ported, you know, manifold, etc., all right, can definitely give you a little bit of gains. You're going to get a little bit more throttle response without the throttle lag, things like that, but I'll speak on that here in a second as well. But again, things in unison or parts in unison can create the horsepower, not one simple mod like that. All right, it's not going to add any horsepower. All right, so cold air intake, literally save your money, go get the $70 lower air intake from a Hellcat, all right, from Dodge. $70, I'm not joking. All right, get somebody to put the tube in for you, switch out your air filter, which will be about 40 to 50 bucks, and instead of spending upwards of $400 to $600 on an air intake, you have the best setup that they can actually come with. All right, and if you're super picky, you can switch this out. All right, it is nothing but a tube. All right, you can hit up Corsa, K&N, JLT, and they'll literally send you the actual arm by itself. All right, so to each their own. On my last one, I did have a Corsa intake. Of course, I had different manifolds, different fuel injectors, shorty headers, etc. So it was a little bit different. Again, a lot of parts in unison helped me gain a little bit of horsepower, not just one thing. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about, all right, is here on the engine as well. All right, it's kind of crazy, but we're going to get to it now. So I've only seen a few cars actually run on it, all right, but E85, all right, it is not going to add any horsepower. All right, because when you run E85, number one, you have to do a whole lot to the car to get it to run on E85. And when you do get it to run on E85, you're normally adding a lot of parts here that are going to give you the horsepower. The E85 is just going to be a little bit cheaper, well, depending on where you are, depending on, like, you know, North Texas, South Texas, things like that. But here in Charlotte, we don't have it readily available at every single gas station like a Texas, Louisiana, things like that. All right, so that's the downfall, number one. And then two, all right, you're going to spend way more money trying to get the car set up to run E85 than actually what it's worth as far as horsepower. All right, so that's number two. All right, your cold air intake is not going to give you any horsepower. Your E85 is definitely not going to give you any horsepower, and you're going to spend a whole lot of money trying to set that up. All right, number three. All right, you're gonna kind of think it's crazy, but all right, a catback system. All right, you guys need to understand. All right, a catback system is going to do nothing but add sound. All right, to this beast here. All right, it is literally nothing but sound. All right, your Corsas, your stainless works, your Borlas, things like that. For the catback system to actually work, you need something that's connected to it, like a high flow cat, long tube headers. Again, other parts in unison to allow the airflow to be a whole lot higher. Again, airflow. And of course, you'll probably have to tune it in to allow the actual car to know it's there and to use it. All right, but again, a catback system is not going to give you power just by bolting on the system. All right, but yes, will you get sound? Yes. Am I going to be doing a catback system? Yes. All right, but that is with plans later on in the future. All right, and if you don't know anything about a catback system, go watch my previous video with CLT Hemi. It is a Corsa $1,800 catback extreme system versus just my regular old, you know, stock system. So that's number three. All right, and there's going to be a lot of controversy because you're probably going to be shocked at some of the things I'm saying, but you need to understand we are talking about these parts alone by themselves. All right, I've stated again, in unison, a lot of these parts can work together and help a whole lot. All right, but when you're just talking about buying one of these things, you're not really gaining much. All right, it's definitely for the show. The Corsas, etc., are going to be for the sound and of course performance if you start to build the car later on down the road. Now again, I did mention, all right, the E85, the shorty headers, and some of the other things that I had. Oh, I didn't have E85 on my RT, but the shorty headers, etc., on my RT, and things of that nature that I had in unison to help me gain horsepower in a car that really didn't have much above 300 when you're talking about to the wheels. All right, So let me explain something before I say this. All right, this number 4 thing is gonna shock a lot of people, but at the end of the day, these Scatpacks come with what I consider to already be shorty headers. All right, if you take out the 5.7 headers versus what we have in our Scatpacks, huge difference. All right, and if you put up a shorty header versus what the Scatpacks have, they're basically the same thing. So for me, you're just gonna be wasting money unless your build absolutely needs that style of header. All right, now if you want to ask a little bit more questions, I know somebody that has shorty headers on their Scatpack, but their specific build is set up for that. All right, your shorty headers are going to give you a little bit more airflow, a little bit more oomph at the beginning when you hit the gas, a little less throttle lag, things like that. So you can hit up Mad Scatter on Instagram. He actually has shorty headers on his and tuned by Petty Garage on top of a whole lot of other stuff. I think right now he's probably right at 500 to the wheels by themselves. You know, but I think he has a few more runs to do and then get a better tune from Petty's Garage, and then we'll kind of see from there. You'll see his car plenty of times on my channel if you just go watch on my channel. But again, shorty headers are a waste of money on your Scatpack. If you're gonna spend the money to put shorty headers in your car, go ahead and wait, grab the long tubes, because you're gonna spend the same amount of money installing the long tubes as you will the shorty headers. I'm telling you, it's about a 10-hour job, and I'm telling you right now, dropping this engine the 1.5 inches that you need to be able to do it is a hassle if you don't know how. All right, again, ask Mad Scatter, he did it by himself. So for me, shorty headers on my RT definitely were worth it just because of the airflow and things like that. And then of course, when you're talking about parts in unison, you definitely have to think about what kind of car are you creating, what kind of car are you building. All right, so on my RT, I use the shorty headers to help with my airflow through the throttle body, the manifold, the bigger fuel injectors, fuel rails, and things like that. All right, now here's the thing. All right, I made a statement about E85. All right, and what I mean by buying parts just to even be able to run 85, you're talking about, you know, Hellcat, the Demon injectors. You're talking about new fuel rails. You're talking about maybe a meth in the back. You know, you're talking about spending a lot of money just to run E85, right? So for me, it's not worth it. Just like these shorty headers, you know, for looks, for a little bit more airflow, I get it, you know, but the specs on them are almost identical. You can look them up on OEM Dodge and some place like BBK or Corsa shorty headers, things like that. They're gonna look the exact same. So before I touch on the 5th one, all right, again, you're not gonna see much with just a bolt-on cold air intake. That's everybody's favorite thing to do. But if you're gonna go with a cold air intake, you guys need to understand, all right, make sure it's closed. All right, replace your throttle body with a ported throttle body. And all a ported throttle body is helps the air kind of twist through and force itself through a whole lot quicker. Or they have some for $350 all the way down to $600, depending on what, you know, how big they are, et cetera, that you want to go. I wouldn't, you know, say go super crazy, but depending on your manifold, and if you have a stock manifold like mine, or if you have a aftermarket manifold, you can go as big as 92 from a Hellcat stock, you know, manifold, sorry, throttle body. All right, that's what you guys need to understand. This itself is not going to give you anything. All right, that is literally to help the car cool, send air through the actual manifold, help the car run better. All right, then of course, number 2, your catback system. All right, it's not going to do much unless you have parts in unison. All right, again, parts in unison. All right, sending airflow back through the car and allowing it to get back and create back pressure. All right, and that is literally what I'm about to talk about right now. All right, so your headers are going to sit right about there. All right, right where you can see the orange color there. All right, and then it's going to flow all the way back to your cats down through your exhaust system. All right, that catback system, you don't have high flow cats or any type of long tubes. You're literally just going to push the same amount of air through as you would a normal regular system versus a catback system that you're going to pay a lot of money for. So that's another reason why I say if you're not going to have any types of part in unison, it is technically pointless to put on your car to add any type of power. And the last thing I want to talk about, I'm about to get drugged by this because some of my friends use them, but a pedal commander does nothing for your car to add power, man. I literally had somebody come to a car meet with a, you know, a different style of pedal commander. There's the, you know, pedal box, pedal commander, there's switches out here, there's dials now, there's all kinds of stuff, right? And from my understanding, all it does is help with the throttle delay, all right? The throttle lag that happens when you hit the actual gas for the actual system to realize it, and then boom, you know, hit the fuel injectors and let the engine run, right? The pedal commander does nothing but get rid of that, all right? You're not adding any horsepower, you're not adding power, torque, or anything to your car. you're just helping with the throttle delay, all right? But you also need to understand, if the computer realizes that, it can actually throw it in a lag mode or, you know, things like that to actually ruin how your car drives. Your car actually learns how you drive, and the computer system gets used to that and then helps with your actual shifting points on the car, all right? You'll know that once you own it for a while, and you know, I daily drove my RT, so it definitely knew how I drive in the shifting points where I could literally almost tell you exactly when it was gonna hit with my eyes closed, right? But again, the pedal commander is not gonna do anything for you. You're wasting $350, right? When you can literally make this functional, all right? Get a better filter, better arm if you like, a ported throttle body, all right? And then maybe change out the fuel rails or bigger injectors. And I promise you, it will last a lot longer, perform a lot better on the dyno, number one. And then 3, you're not gonna get any engine codes and things like that happen. I've seen so many people literally waste their $350 because it lasts for a month, 2 months, and it throws codes every other week. And I literally had my guy in Atlanta, John, get his car washed. He took it, when I say he, the guy who was washing his car and detailing his car, accidentally took it out, all right? And then it literally put his car in lag mode. A Hellcat got put in lag mode. So it's pretty much like a valet mode, right? And they couldn't get it out, all right? So yes, the pedal commander, pedal box, whatever, actually messes with your CPU. Be careful, it is not worth it, all right? So again, those are my 5 things. You're talking about a pedal commander, a Scatpack system, E85, shorty headers, and a cold air intake. Some of the top 5 things people go for when they first get these cars, all right? I'm just hoping that I can help somebody out and help you understand that adding these things to the car by themselves won't do anything until you understand how the car runs, functions, and what's gonna be best for the style of car that you build, all right? So if you're gonna run a nice cold air intake, make sure it's closed, all right? But again, I did give you advice earlier in the video, all right? For me, my car is completely stock. I've literally had it for over a month and a half now. Again, I'm taking it a little bit slower because I'm trying to decide and pretty much learn what's best for this 1320. It is technically a drag car, right? So I wanna make sure I'm putting the best thing that I can in this car. But again, if you have any questions, let me know what you think. Definitely drop a like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel. And that's a wrap. And you guys, I know you can see my engine bay finally. It was not this clean, but you guys need to understand, you need to take care of your engine bay just like you do the outside of your car. I promise you it'll help you, all right? And of course, changing your oil, checking your fluids, things like that are super, super important. But this will look a whole lot different here shortly, as soon as I start getting, you know, to it and deciding what I'm gonna do.